Okay, everyone, this meeting is now being audio recorded and welcome to the San Mateo County Coastside Design Review Committee meeting. The Design Review Committee, as establishing the zoning regulations, is appointed by the Board of Supervisors. Today is Thursday, November 9th, 2023, and now it is 12:34 p.m. This meeting consists of one project. For better recording quality and orderliness of the meeting, please put your phones on silence, avoid whispering in the audience, and wait for my prompt before you speak on any matters. This meeting is being audio recorded. There are two opportunities for the public to speak, including the oral communications for matters not on the agenda, and the separate public comment section for each project on the agenda. Please review the agenda to identify which item you wish to speak on and the time of that item. For fairness and orderliness of this meeting, and due to the amount of speakers, please limit your speech 3 minutes or less. This time limit will be strictly enforced, and you'll be respectfully asked to stop speaking after 3 minutes. The chair will open the public comment sessions during the public comment period for oral communications and for items not on the agenda and for each item on the regular agenda. I will first read comments received before the meeting into the record for those who are not present in this meeting. For those attending this meeting in person, speaker forms are available in the rear of this room. And please provide this and provide it to me before each public comment session. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on an agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Please provide your speaker form, raise your hand, or press *9 on your device before each public comment session. And late speaker requests will not be accepted. Please note that members of the public must wait for my prompt in connection with each agenda item before speaking. Also, you cannot speak on an agenda item that's later in this meeting. When you hear your name or last 4 digits of your phone number called, I'll prompt you to come to the front or unmute your account, then inform that you may begin speaking. I will then ask you to state your name for the record. For those joining by phone, please press *6 to mute or unmute your microphone. The Design Review Committee's decision to item 1, if any, is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 working days by filing an appeal and pay the applicable filing fees. If you would like to file an appeal, please contact the project planner whose email address is listed on the agenda under their respective project. The appeal will be accepted by 5 p.m. on November 23rd, 2023. The CDRC does not review matters related to zoning standards, local coastal policies, and general plan. The CDRC will only review the project based on the design review guidelines and standards. For example, concerns regarding the possible impact on the environment or parking compliance will not be addressed in this meeting. The CDRC will only review the design and the architectural aspect of the project based on design review guidelines and standards. Depending on the scale and scope of changes, continued projects may be placed on the next month's agenda if revisions are submitted to the county by the end of business day, Friday, November 17th, 2023. Applicants should note that continuous letters may not be available by that day and are encouraged to take note of the committee's feedback. The next Coastside Design Review Committee meeting will be held on Thursday, December 14th, 2023. Item 1 agenda is roll call. Rebecca Ketchen.
Here.
Beverly Garrity.
Here.
Mark Stagmeyer. Not present. John Statman. Not present. And Mark D. Not present. With that, I turn it over to the chair. Yeah, I turn it over to the chair, and now, according to the agenda, the first item, the next item is chairperson's report. So since Mark Stackmeyer is not present today, and I think Beverly will go over the chair's report for Mark Stackmeyer.
It was a toss up. It was either Rebecca. All right. I do have that opened up. This is the chair report written from the October 12th meeting by Chairperson Mark Stegmeyer. Old business. All right, talking about demonstration of scale story polls. And the conclusion is that planners will emphasize the requirements to the applicants, and the projects may be continued for not following the DOS. I'm not sure. Demonstration of scale or any story polls that may be required. As you all may know, their story polls are not required, but a demonstration of scale is required. Design standards update. Let's see. Current status is, can you tell us what current status of the design standards update is?
The current status is that the long range planning, or I need to follow up with Barat, who's the long range planning services manager. The standards update was actually put behind the height definition initiative
In terms of priority.
in terms of priority, and even that has is somewhat on hold due to needing other zoning updates in the Mid Coast to comply with the housing element. And so we were thinking, instead of updating the C1 just for height, they're doing a larger project to update the zoning, to comply with the housing element. Then it'll be part of the.
So the definition of height will be within this new zoning.
It'll either be by itself or combined with the zoning, which will be a larger, much larger.
Okay, so the standards update is on hold, it sounds like.
It is on hold.
Okay. New business, CDRC positions. Are there still 2 new applicants? One from Muskie Child and 1 returning member for Montero for the position I'm vacating.
I believe there's 4 total, and yes, 1 is returning.
Who's that?
I think we're at 5 applicants.
We're at 5 applicants now.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh,
They're being scheduled.
that's excellent. That's for an architect. Do you know what, do you know what positions they're for?
I believe they are community members for Mock Beach and Montclair. I don't think it's time to look through the applications. I should leave it up.
And an architect.
Supervisor.
I think.
I think there is an architect.
Oh, there is there?
I think so.
Okay.
I think there is an architect.
I never heard if I could reapply or not. Something
Oh,
I'd
of course you
already
can.
heard.
Yeah, no, of course you can. We have 1 person doing that, but given some time after the term out, I would say
It's been 10 years.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The person who used to be on it was, in the Montero alt position, and he was there at the same time I was.
He wasn't there very long. So his name
back
didn't ring a bell.
Yeah, he was back and forth to
Yeah.
the Pacific.
Anyway, we shouldn't say too much because he hasn't been appointed yet.
Right, okay, so we'll update that, 5 applicants, yeah, hooey. All right, thank you, Camille, for posting on the AIA website. Do you have the chair report, Glenn, that you can put up on the screen there, so people sitting here can see it, do you have any comments at some point?
Sure.
All right, and that seems to be it. The major categories in the chair report are demonstration of skill, the live streaming, during meetings, the design standards update, and new positions and recruiting. I'm not sure what's meant by new cases. Please review ASAP and double check the 24 hours before the hearing for revisions addendum. What does this mean?
Oh, I think that's something that came up, last month regarding if there were changes to applications or last minute things, making sure that we have the current
All the
information.
current
posted,
info,
yeah.
yeah, okay, great. All right, we're open for public comment on the chair report. If there's, actually anything regarding the chair report or anything in general.
Oh, sorry, Beverly, according to the agenda, the next item is.
Let's do public comment first.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay, sounds good. So I'll read the instructions. So, okay, we're now opening public comments for oral communications for matters not on agenda. For those who attend this meeting in person, speaker forms available in the rear table. Please provide me with your speaker slip immediately. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on this agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. When you hear your name or last four digits of your phone number called, I'll prompt you to come to the front or unmute your account, then I will inform you that you may begin speaking. I will then ask you to state your name for the record. For those joining by phone, please press *6 to mute or unmute your microphone. As mentioned earlier this meeting, please limit your speech to 3 minutes or less. Okay, I haven't received any speakers slip. And I'm checking. Oh.
Does anyone?
Okay, yeah, so I don't see any online participants and I haven't received any speakers slip, so. Oh, you have one. I have one, okay, so you can provide to me now.
I want to go.
And just for information, that's not our speaker slip. Our speaker slip are in that little shell.
I don't follow instructions.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So we don't have any speakers here in person, and we don't have any online participants. So Beverly, please indicate if you like to close public comment.
Sure, we can close public comment.
And introduce.
Yes, let's do that.
Hi, just, Camille Young, senior planner, County San Mateo. I just wanted to introduce Jessica Sin from the Bayside Design Review Committee, to the CDRC. Because, as most of you know, we have only one architect serving, and that's making it very. That would make it very difficult to continue for the CDRC to continue to review projects. So Jessica has, so graciously, agreed to backfill as needed. And it is a little bit of a trek from the Bayside, so we definitely appreciate that. So Jessica, thank you so much. Do you want to give an introduction? A little?
Sure. Do you want me to?
Sure. Do
My name is Jessica Sin. I'm on the commission for the Bayside Design Review Committee right now. Camille and the county in general has so graciously welcoming me into here. I'm an architect. I've had my own business for 9 years, going on 10. And I'm based in River City, so it makes sense for me to do Bayside Design Review Committee, but I'm happy to come out here and help you guys out too, as needed, with the system of the.
Thank you so much. And service to the community for sure. And then could we continue?
In the architect position?
No, just if, Rebecca.
When I get issues or can't have.
Exactly.
So is that considered the architect position, or it's not?
She's not appointed. But she can't, she's
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not pointing specifically to the CRC, but she's part of the design review.
Mhm.
Yeah, as needed, you know, happy to like fill in if someone can't make it.
Yes.
Thank you. It means a lot to me, especially because I can't review projects when I have to present them. Actually, I can't present them either, but, since we've been down to one architect, it's meant that there wouldn't be, sorry. That there wouldn't be a way for me to bring projects here, so it's nice to know that I can bring projects.
And Marston is here.
Okay, so, public comment closed, and welcome, thank you. And, then it says that I am resigning at last meeting December. It's been 10 years it'll be in 2024, which just is remarkable to me. Yeah, and I took Karen's position actually. I think I did 11. Right after.
Got you beat by 1 year.
So for me, thank you, everyone. It's been an incredible experience to serve in this capacity. Yeah, I appreciate everything you all have told me.
Thank you. I wanted to say that it's been a pleasure working with you. You've really been a leader the entire time. In terms of training other new CDRC members, working with staff on initiatives like the subcommittees that we had set up for focused CDRC work, putting together the bylaws and the procedures manual. We've never been so organized. So, I mean, that will be your lasting legacy, I think.
Thank you.
Which is just the smooth running and the level of engagement. And, you know, the hours put into and making it a very, serious priority, your service to the community. I think we saw that for many, 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 many years. So we really appreciate that. It's been a pleasure working.
Thank you, Camille.
So I've been working with you for nearly 2.5 years. So yeah, almost like 2.5 years since we first.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's always been a pleasure working with you, and 10 years is incredible. And so we really translate your like passion for community, to public service and to like the well-being of this community. So I'd like to say thank you very much for being a member with us, and also regarding a legacy. I mean, it's evident to me that you have to do like a lot of work and spend a lot of time on your like letters and correspondence with family staff. So it'll be like great examples for the CDRC. And so we appreciate that, and we also really appreciate that you work with us, like you're very responsive, being very professional, and helping us get projects out like efficiently and effectively. So it's my pleasure working with you, and hope I can see you around. Hope you stay in this area after your retirement, and welcome to the CRC and everything this year.
Thank you. Thank you.
You will be missed. Thank you. I want to echo what Glenn said too. Especially I'm glad you mentioned the letters because you're so good at writing the letters and you're really timely about them. And we always have this thing where we pass them back and forth and there's some editing and
You're talking about the project review.
The project review is always like so comforting having a project review come from you because it was really thorough and timely. Like I'd often be like, oh, I really get that. Got it. So it's been so great working with you, and I feel like I learned how to be on this committee. Thank you.
Yeah. You don't have to see me.
You guys start together?
I'll just be really get involved, I think maybe for the last 6 months or so.
Oh,
Yeah, it's amazing to watch you two, as I'll say professionals living on this meeting. So you'll be missed. I've been looking through the bylaws and the procedures. So I didn't realize you're behind us. So yeah, I'll provide some guidance for what we do. Hopefully you'll be around from time to time. But, thank you for imparting all of this.
Thank you. It takes the whole team, Mark. It's the whole team. And, what I do is I just nag people. I just ask, I ask what and when. And, the partnership, with you, we started at about the same time.
Yeah, I was with the county, but I wasn't assigned to the design review.
No,
So, and then yes, we did start.
yeah,
We were still meeting at the yacht club.
we were, and you did the first training at the county, and we were just throwing paper around. To put the training manual together yet, and yeah, a lot of foundational stuff. I hope that the standards effort update will continue. It is so essential. It's essential on so many fronts. Credibility.
Yeah.
Because styles are changing, materials are changing. Residents are changing, if we're still focusing on residential only. And we need a document to stand on.
Yeah, and especially there's gonna be more housing. Through the housing update, because I think that's the goal of that. Is to have the coastside help with the overall housing needs of the county. So then we will need sort of like more mixed use space for higher density.
Right, higher density, farming, different, elements, of different types of properties and, yeah, and in doing that and adding those, it is definitely an opportunity to construct the document more objectively the way we hope.
Yes.
Massive effort, a huge effort. You guys are hopefully going to be involved in that, and it'll happen in your 10 years. I don't know how to make that happen at this point, and that's one of the reasons why I'm having it on.
Well, I wanted to speak up too, without a speaker slip, I guess. I'm Katie, I'm the architect that recently resigned and hosed them, so apologies again. Beverly is the reason that I was here. So I presented my own house for design review about 7.5 years ago. Oh. And she invited me to join the committee and I looked into it, and I was on the committee for about 6 years until just recently. And it was a really amazing experience for personal growth, for professional growth, but also like really helped me become more rooted in the community. And, I've made connections with people that I probably wouldn't be so close with. So that's been really special. And I've really enjoyed working with you. We've reviewed loads of projects together. We've worked on some of these big efforts for the design review guidelines, for the story pool modification of scale updates, for, mid-coast commercial district. We've done a lot together in those years, and we've also spent a lot of time together personally. She's babysat my kid. So, I want to thank you for bringing me into this effort, and it really was an amazing way to become part of the community and to give back from a professional standpoint. And looking forward to still seeing you around, because we're still in touch, of course. But you've done such an amazing job, and echoing everything that everybody else has said, but I feel very lucky to know you and to work with you.
Thank you, Katie. Katie, you are a deep and vast talent on the coastside, and my only hope, I know your life is huge. My only hope is that you continue to be a resource in these very important milestones that are coming up, because your perspective, your communication skills are extraordinary. And it makes a huge difference, the value you put into everything that we've done together.
It does feel a little bit like there's a void. It's weird after, coming for so long. Now I feel kind of like a little bit disconnected, but yeah, I would love to be able to still continue involvement on some of the efforts when community input
Yeah,
or professional input is
Yeah.
requested, I think that would be great, and, you know, hopefully in a couple of years, my child will stop being a terrorist. And I will be able to have more time available to give back again,
be right, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, in truth, in our community, we have, it's a deep resource of varying expertise. And if we can figure out, and I know you've been working hard on this, Mark, the way to put that key in and open up that box of resource and how to involve the public so they feel heard and valued, and there's a lot there that can make a very big difference in our future, and that's one of the benefits of a community this size. Your voice can be heard.
You know, as someone who started the committee, I think I was the first member. I just want to say thank you, Beverly. I think what's such a wonder about the committee and your expertise is just how beautiful these homes turn out and how they benefit the neighborhoods, the environment that they're sitting in, and how you just watch the coast become more and more beautiful when these new homes are built. And I think, you know, I don't see it being so adversarial as it used to be, because to me, it feels like the goal is for people to get their homes built in a way that fixes the community. And I see that happening, and it's a real joy. And I know how much work it is. And thank you too for your time. I'm sorry I didn't get to thank you sooner, but you know, good luck, stay involved. If there's ever any comments from me, I'm happy to. I'm far out of it now, but I really wish you good luck with your retirement, and thank you.
Thank you. And so if y'all wanna know what I'm doing.
Roller hockey?
Wait, look, you already know I'm traveling. But other than that, my new community endeavor is set design build for the theater community. Which is, you're allowed to do this at my age, which is like playing in the sand. And then the tide comes in and washes it all away. So I'm right where your daughter is, actually. It's just on the
you'll probably
flip
see her
side.
because we'll probably be in theater and get some of those out.
Yeah, I'm sure. So come see the local theater. They've grown too, much as our community has. And it's a lot of fun.
We're gonna have something to present to you. Hi, I will introduce myself because I'm just meeting you for the first time. I'm Gina Coyne. I'm from Supervisor Ray Mueller's office. I am blown away by all the comments by your colleagues, by, you know, former members of the committee and the chair's comments, staff comments, and it's just an honor. I'm presenting a commendation to you from the Board of Supervisors, just appreciating all the time, because goodness knows the work is not easy and it is very much appreciated. Thank you so much. You want me to read it? I can read it. Yeah. I like it. Sometimes people like the dress. Yeah. I will read. It says, the Board of Supervisors of San Mateo County, State of California, honored and presents Beverly Garrity. The County of San Mateo thanks Beverly Garrity for her service on the Coastside Design Review Committee since June 2014. Beverly's experience, knowledge, and commitment to the Montero community made her a valuable member on the committee and highly regarded among her fellow committee members. In her time on the committee, Beverly balanced the values and concerns of her community and the development allowed by the adopted design review standards, collaborating with committee members to recommend the best course of action for development on the Medcoast. The Board of Supervisors expresses gratitude to Beverly Garrity for her dedication and commitment to service and for the quality of life of her neighbors, and extends best wishes for continued success.
Wow, thank you. Well, thank you. I'm humbled. I'm deeply humbled. It doesn't sound like you're talking about me.
We have a cake. So, there is 30 minutes before the item starts, and actually there might be additional people coming in, wanting to say something, but I'm not sure if that is or not, but while we're waiting, we can have.
Yeah.
There's some.
Should we read that?
Yes, we should read that.
Okay.
This is why I walked into the.
Yeah.
So good now. So. Oh,
It might take a minute.
okay, do you have it on your flash drive? Because if you.
No, I don't. Are you told me to email? I emailed.
If it's 100 megabytes, I wouldn't be.
I have a laptop with me.
I have
It's 100 megabytes. I won't be able to get it, it's too large.
I can look at my own laptop.
You have it on
It's
your.
only, is it this one here, 20?
Does this have an HDMI cable? I can use?
Just one moment, I can have the Dropbox link so I can.
Yeah, it's Dropbox.
Okay, I thought it was a,
Oh, yeah, this is mine.
email attachment.
Okay, no.
Yeah, I'll download it. It'll take like a minute.
That would be fun.
No.
Present it to the neighbors. Should we turn the monitor or do we, I don't know. How do we do this?
That'll be good.
Yeah, they're the audio.
But they didn't see anything if I'm.
Well, he's
Well,
not
we all
doing it
have
up.
on our laptop.
Oh, I see what you're
Should I pivot the TV?
You
Yeah.
do this on your laptop?
Yeah, I think.
No, I mean,
we're
let's
gonna
upload
see
it to the county portal I have on.
Oh, okay.
We
Oh.
have all the drawings. Are you do?
It's actually, the presentation is different.
Or
We can zoom it, because we're on Zoom, right?
Yeah,
What are you,
Okay, once we share screen. then we can-
yeah, so I'm just waiting for it to download. It will take-
what are you seeing my whole Dropbox? That's kind of weird. I only shared one file with you.
Okay, which file?
That's kind of weird. Hold on, I shouldn't share my files so liberally. I'm realizing, oh my God,
It's just the right one.
that's crazy. 6 hours ago. No, hold on.
Which one do you want me to download?
This one is,
No, it should be, hold on.
This is a fun spotted.
Oh. Damn it. Hold on, 48 minutes ago, yeah.
2022-00265 on Birch Street, Montero. Assessor parcel number 036-03490. This is a consideration of a design review permit to allow the construction of a new 2,839 square foot, two-story, single-family residence with an attached 658 square foot two-car garage on an existing 257 square feet undeveloped parcel. There was a lot line adjustment record on number 2005-011-073. The project involved no tree removal and only minor grading. The project is not appealable to the California Coastal Commission. The application was deemed complete September 28th, 2023. The project planner is Glangia, BJIA at smcgov.gov, who is right here. Okay, so Mark, if you give us a presentation at your convenience, it looks like you're good.
Good, yeah. I don't know if the neighbors can see this. I don't know if you guys want
Feel free to
to
sit
sit there or.
Can you see it? Are all of you here for this project? Are all of you here for this project?
Yes.
Okay.
We're all fine.
Yeah, good.
No, where are?
Okay,
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'd like to say a few words before you fully start to the neighbors and the board before I begin the presentation. My name is Mark Guggenheim. I'm an architect from Germany, licensed in Germany and the European Union. I run the architecture firm PMCKM. Pastimora Castro King Judenheim, together with my business partner Maria Pastimora Castro, who is also here today, and some of my team members. We are both employees in our own firm. We employ California licensed architects on staff, and for over 20 years we built buildings in Germany, Brazil, and the US, large and small. We currently have several houses in California under permitting and construction, and also in Brazil, among them a museum building for the American artist Michael Heiser. This today is a small house in Montero, California, on Birch Street. It's my own house for my family, my wife, Silke Aumann, my two kids, Sparrow, 9, and Mila, 6, who both go to Fairlawn View Elementary in Montero. The house has probably been my most difficult project. I actually do not recommend to design a house for yourself. As an architect, it's a bit like a surgeon operating on himself. A few years ago, before the pandemic, we had a TV channel from Germany over for a short documentary. And at the time, we thought it might be a great idea to test some design ideas for the site in Montero and do a quick staking of some sort. And we think it rattled some of the neighbors. So while this was a highlight in the documentary, I want to kind of apologize to the neighbors a bit for our insensitivity at the time. However, I feel there was a positive effect of this because we heard a lot of fears and concerns from the neighbors at the time, and a lot of wishes from our immediate and not so immediate neighborhood. And as we consider ourselves a contextual architecture firm, this means that we always try to take into account all circumstances of a site, as well as all these wishes and concerns, and even when they're contradictory. So we scrapped all the ideas we had. We actually had a complete design at the time, and went back to the drawing board, and through a very lengthy process, we designed something completely new.
Mark, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Are you saying you came before the committee?
No, not at all. We just were ready to submit something initially, but we didn't after this moment. So we feel that with the new design, we feel that we tried something different that's very sensitive to all the needs we discovered at that point in time. That's very sensitive to neighborhood. This is what I want to present now. So this is the lot located on Birch Street between Harter Street and George Street. As you can already see, the footprint is a bit smaller than the neighbors. These are the surrounding houses, 1- and 2-story houses on the street. All other houses on the other side of Birch Street are actually 2-story houses, except for one. The houses are very modern and contemporary, which also one of the houses, the top house, is actually a new house, which we actually liked. That was part of the reason we bought the lot. We fell in love with the street. We thought the houses are quite beautiful and nice. Setbacks and size. This is a more detailed view of our house. These 3 houses here, and this is the lot boundaries. These are the setbacks we chose for the site development. And as you can see, we're not filling out the setbacks completely. We are developing 84.5% of the allowable possible floor area. This is a modest house. It has 3 bedrooms for my family, my 2 kids, and my wife. This is what we need. It's kind of like a tailored suit for us. It's not an oversized development like some other developments we have been seeing in the neighborhood lately from contractors and developers. This allows us to have a lot of open space, and we develop basically 3 houses that are, each one is as big as an average garage or slightly bigger. You can compare this, for example, to our neighbor in the north who has a garage on the upper right-hand corner. So the house is comparable in size, or the neighbor to the east who has a garage here next to our lot at the lot boundary. This kind of setback or the footprint size comes at a price. There's like an equilibrium we were trying to find in the design. The house has in the front and in the back, where we would encroach to views and light, it has 1-story development only, but in the center we have a 2-story development. However, where we have this 2-story development, we can actually have more distance to the neighbor in the north to not encroach on the light as much. This is a model shot as a demonstration of scale, and the model is here with me today for the neighbors to see in detail. Zoning and impact to the neighbor. The lot is a cascading lot. The lot is, the topography is going down to the east, about 12 feet from Birch Street down, over the length of the lot of 50 feet. So a gentle slope. And we're not developing the lot straight on. We're cascading down the lot also with the houses. This is the south elevation, and I know this might look shocking to the neighbors, but in comparison, that's the north elevation of the neighbor to the neighboring building to the south. Hope my laptop doesn't slip off. And what one inspiration was the dancing roof line of the neighbor to the north, to the south. And we're also doing that. We're letting our house roof line dance a little bit, but also we're interrupting the houses with breaks in between the houses, which will give more opportunity to bring light in and views in. And then also the house has different setbacks. So we're also dancing and plan, interrupting the volume of the house and breaking the volume of the house. Also, this cascading and terracing of the lot allows us to bring the height slightly down here and there as well. I want to go from house to house in section and elevation to show the impact to the neighbors in detail. This is the front elevation. This would be the daylight plane, allowed bulk and envelope and height. So for example, this is not what we're developing, but that would be an example of something that could have been developed at this lot by a developer. Again, that's not what we're doing. We're developing a very small one-story garage at this point, at this elevation, in line with the one-story development of our neighbor to the south, and our neighbor to the north, my neighbor to the south, that also only has a garage there. This is a photorealistic rendering of this, and we think that the contemporary style fits very well into the contemporary houses on this street line. Elevation to the north. Here the comparable elevation to the north from the neighbor to the south. And in the area where you see windows here, there's only one-story development, so there should be no issue for sunlight and views on the southern neighbor. And there's a 27.5 feet distance between buildings here. And you can see this also here in terms of views. Our ridge line is as high, actually 6 inches lower than the ridge line of our neighbor to the north. And with the roof inclination, there's ample opening for use still. The central house, there's a distance of 18 feet between buildings, or over 18 feet even between buildings. I think it's 18 feet 3 inches, but we don't count the 3 inches. And 20.5 feet between buildings to the neighbor in the south. The section cut here is this. So we're addressing privacy in the following. The upper floors do not have windows. We don't look into the yards or buildings of our neighbors here. We have vegetation for privacy. There are basically gardens to both sides. The northern garden is more like a visual garden. It's going to be a fern garden. There's not much sunlight there. It's actually a very wet neighborhood, which I will talk about later. So we in the garden plan, we spec that out as an extra planting zone, and we feel we can actually establish a fern garden there with California ferns and large ferns, and then also some native vegetation that would be protection for privacy. Also, we have frosted glass or polycarbonate translucent walls for these areas, so there's absolute privacy. And as you can also see, for the taller development here, there's actually only a staircase and circulation in the center of the house here. So there's actually no privacy issue in terms of programming inside the house to this neighbor. Here's the elevation on this side. So the garage is completely translucent in the area where it's facing windows to the neighbor in the north. The translucent fixed glazing is just for illumination, for a car restoration hobby. I want illumination also for design issues. I want the houses to be very similar. It's like a series of houses, and I want the design to be looking similar, basically. And then I had one window there projected, and in this area, there's no window to the neighbor in the north. But I'm also happy to make that translucent. I'm not millicent, we can totally make, it's a garage, so I don't care if it's translucent or clear. There will be one sliding door only in each of these facades just for maintenance, because these are courtyards or little gardens. So just for doing some gardening or cutting plants when they need to be cut or maintained. So it's not really gardens that would be occupied much. Again, there's a hallway here. There's also the distance of 18 feet or over 18 feet between buildings. Again, these are not gardens that are much in use. And then on the left-hand side, here there's literally no building here and no windows in this area, so there's no encroachment into privacy. Also, there's a 6-foot fence, and in some areas, because of our retaining walls and cascading lot, the fence is actually higher on our end. And there's literally not much window that actually peeks over the fence, and the square footage of the window that peeks over the fence is actually much smaller than the square footage of the windows that peek into our lot from the neighbor in the north. Section and height, again, the daylight plane here, comparatively, what could have been developed on the lot, what we're not developing. This is what we're developing with the 10-foot setbacks. That would be the allowed bulk, and in the daylight plane, we're also not developing this. We're doing that for a reason, because that would be a development that would use the 10-foot setback and the daylight plane. Because with this development, when we're setting back even further, which is our own chosen setback, basically, which is larger than a 10-foot setback, with the winter solstice, December 21, the sun comes in at a 29-degree angle, and with that setback, the winter solstice is still hitting the windows to the neighbor in the north, and of course also the solar panels which are on the roof and are not affected at all. The last building on the end of the lot is much lower because it's cascading down on the topography shown here in this elevation, and you can see this. The other buildings end earlier, so they're a bit higher in the topography. Again, the daylight plane, and the neighbor here has an issue with their. I believe it's the dining room window. Unfortunately, I only learned about this today. Otherwise, I would have addressed this even better. So that we are affecting the views a little bit with the middle building, but in the lower part, I think there's still some view of Montera Mountain, because our ridge height is actually about the height of the eave height of the neighbor to the north. So there will be some effect to the view of the surrounding vegetation of the neighborhood, but Montera Mountain should still be visible to some degree from the dining room window of the neighbor to the south. The other issue that our neighbor Julie had was the view of the backyard and the view of the whirlpool, which I totally appreciate. We put in the garden, you want privacy. So this is my daughter up there. That's going to be my daughter's room. The kids' rooms are above and looking out in the back. And my daughter, my wife is pretty tall. I'm pretty tall. This is my wife's height here in this drawing. And even if my daughter grows 10 feet, which I hope she would not, but there will not be a view of your garden. I mean, it's pretty much impossible to view your garden from this window. And you can see that also in the model. And there's only 10-foot eave height, and there's roof inclination, so there will also not be any effect on the sunlight. And also with the 20-foot setback from the rear lot line, you will have sunlight on the whirlpool. The heights in the neighborhood is demonstration of scale. The two numbers are just the house numbers for orientation at this point. There's this, the other house, 1265, which is a 2-story house, a bit higher up the lot. And then our house, because it's set into the cascading lot with the terracing, it's slightly higher than 1227, the eave height, which is mostly the height that affects sunlight the most. I think it fits very well into the neighborhood in terms of height development. The roof inclination takes cues from the surrounding houses around Birch Street. Water is another issue. Montera is an inflationary batch, which is basically squeezed in from the sea and the coastal range. So there is a ditch in the backside of Montera which accumulates water. I know Karen has a big water issue, and we thought about this. So we have an infiltration bed right now drawn in at the end of the lot. We thought that we have other opportunities for infiltration beds in the courtyards and gardens. It's another reason why we have so many setbacks. And I know Karen is not convinced of infiltration beds. That's why we talked about it. These are options for the other infiltration beds. We will address this in the design, in the in the building stage together with a civil engineer. There is an easement here for attachment to the creek, and I'm totally open to do this. We have another project where we have a sump pump system, which I initially thought about, which is another option to do. If we're allowed to pump into the sewer system on Birch Street, we can do that. And my wife and I, we're trying to make this house very sustainable. And another option would be to do a rainwater system where we collect the rainwater, use it for toilet flushes and water and garden irrigation. So that's another option we're thinking about. So that's something we would address in the building stage, basically. But we want to have a sustainable and very holistic water approach to this, and we will not affect the water. We know there's a big water issue in short. Material palette and facade articulation. So, oops, there's a picture missing, unfortunately. I don't know why. So this was this black monochrome monolith house at 308th Street. Unfortunately, it's not in the picture. I want to point out also the 4th and Main Street development by Michael Molzahn, a pretty interesting house. The in black and white, the 330 13th Street by Anderson Architects, or 1265 East Avenue, almost completely glass building, and the many examples in Montero that are following the Sea Ranch classical modern approach of the 1970s. Again, the modern contemporary architecture on Birch Street that we're reacting to, and the reason why we bought the lot, and we feel that our house fits very well into this. The material palette is completely natural. We want natural materials that age naturally and kind of follow a natural aging process rather than a painted material, except for the roof. We do want a metal roof. All the materials are non-combustible. It's a fire district, and I hope the neighbors will thank us when there's a fire, because our house will not go up in flames. So the roof will be painted to match the color palette of the other materials, because we don't want to do a metal colored roof. So the facade will be natural cement shingles. There will be a wood trim. The wood will be around the windows, so not that much wood. So to have a little bit of wood in warmth, but not to add fire danger to it. So the wood will be treated, so the natural wood color will be preserved. Aluminum framed windows and doors, frosted glass or polycarbonate in the north.
Oh, can you go back?
Yeah.
Go ahead, you can keep presenting, but I'm just looking at.
The natural color palette is inspired by our Long Beach walks and natural color palette of the sea, and also the fog and the colors here at the coastside. And then there's many monochrome houses. I think it's actually a staple of American suburban architecture, and also in Montero you see many monochrome houses and gray houses and beige houses in the neighborhood. Two of these houses are actually on Birch Street, right across from our property. 1280 Birch Street, 1256 Birch Street are right across from our property. Elevation north, the roof color is addressing climate change, reflecting sunlight into space and matching the sky. We believe that this is the right way to go, and I also believe that in the next 10 years it might become a mandatory planning requirement to do roofs in a light color because of reflecting because of climate change. The PV panel, I don't know about you, but PV panels are fairly ugly in my mind, and we want to match the PV panels to the roof and to the house. So there is a PV panel product which is slightly more expensive, but we want to match the PV panels to that, and the PV panels will look much more subdued and simple, and will not look very technological with this treatment. There are other light gray and some white roofs in Montero. Here are some examples. So some are asphalt, and these two left examples are actually metal roofs, metal shingles and standing seam metal roofs in metal color. There are other metal roofs in Montero that are metal colored actually. The facade articulation is reflecting the local style with a contemporary twist. Most prevalent are board and batten siding and classical shingle siding. We're taking the scale of the board and batten siding and matching it with the classical shingle siding to come up with the twist, which is a shingle board siding, so slightly oversized boards. And here are some examples from architects all over the US. This would be the view of the backyard. Construction. The house will be constructed in cross-laminated timber, which is a solid construction, also minimizing the impact of construction. The construction will be executed within a few weeks by a small crew. That's the raw construction. Facade will be taking a little bit longer, but it will minimize the noise and the time impact of the construction to the neighborhood. And it's also a very sustainable construction method. The embedded carbon will greatly outweigh all the other carbon impact of the house. So will be a carbon plus development. Yeah, thank you for your time. We welcome your questions.
Thank you. Thank you for your due diligence. It looked like you read the standards
Yeah,
pretty thoroughly.
this took 3.5 years to design.
Yes. The committee who will be voting on your project is architect Rebecca Catherine and myself, Beverly Murray. At this point, what we'll do is we may have some questions for you. I do have a couple. Go ahead. I want to compliment you on your beautiful design.
Thank you.
Very well thought out, very considerate of the adjacent properties. I have some questions about the material and the color.
Yeah.
I do not have any questions about the volume, the landscape, the siding. So my question about the materials and the colors is, do the materials come in a range of colors? Can you impact the color?
Not really. So the fiber cement we chose only comes in that fiber cement color.
So as you know from the standards, single colors for a structure are discouraged. Additionally, in the context of your immediate neighborhood, this would be unique. It seems that a modern style is an evolution that would fit into the context of your neighborhood, but the color is not one that we usually encourage. So I'm wondering if you could go darker with any of these colors. Not that it has to be blue or green or even gray. If you can take this and evolve it into a cream, maybe as far as a taupe at the other extreme, can you bring it in that direction?
It is not so super. It is not gray. Maybe the renderings it is a bit more on the cream gray end. It's a warm gray.
Is it?
Because it
It shows white. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, it shows white.
To suggest that it's gray. I'm saying you don't have
I would
to
say
go
it's
gray.
more like this maybe, or more like this maybe. It's somewhere in between these two.
It's like a light gray.
It's a light gray. It's not white. I mean,
It's not.
it's definitely not white. I mean, it's not white. It's for sure
Which
not
is the
white.
color you're saying?
And then,
it's
I
like?
mean, the renderings on the plans are actually a bit too light. I have the tendency to go very light when I do plans, because plans print out darker usually, and then we do renderings very light, but
Do you happen to have a material sample?
unfortunately not. I thought about this. Yeah, too bad.
And you're saying the exterior walls are that color and the exterior roof is that color?
I would paint the exterior roof in the same color than the boards. That's or similar. I mean, there's slightly, there are always nuances when you try to match a color, and I'm expecting these nuances. And as I said, I mean, I think you can see, it's hard to see on the screen, but I'm expecting some nuances. I actually want some nuances. I don't want this to be like dipped in a paint bucket and be
Yeah, I
told,
mean, I've
because that would
seen
look
that.
boring, right? I
I've
mean.
seen, a sandy palette. Is it
And you can,
possible?
I mean, the house, Julie's house, for example, has a reddish palette, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking of a grayish beige palette, like wood, you know, with some warmer tones and the aluminum being a colder tone. So there's like a tonality to it that would
So
hopefully
we
create some
actually
interest.
To see that,
Okay.
what we're doing is evaluating what's right in front of us right now.
Yeah,
So we need to see, and we can talk about this a little more after public comment,
okay,
actual coded color.
okay,
And what we're hoping for is a darker roof, even though what you're suggesting, I haven't done full research on that, but in our standards, we discourage white roof,
it's not white, it's gray. I mean,
light,
as I said, I mean,
light colors, light colored roof materials, we discourage that.
probably about like this. So there are roofs like this.
And
in
those
Ontario.
are
Several.
very old properties, and since the design review had developed the standards, these are no longer. But we can talk.
Another clarifying question. I wanted to ask about the potential lap pool. I think we need to know whether that is part of the project or not.
I think it is, yeah.
So is the impervious coverage calculated to include that pool?
Yes,
Okay. I just think that I don't have a problem with a lap pool. I just think that we have to approve the project with it or without it, and not with things that.
I used to prove it with it.
And not with things that are possible. And then, you know, similarly, this is a really small thing and might just be something to pull, but I was looking at the landscape plan. I think all the information is there, and you're seeing it in structured slightly differently, but so you have, you know, you call out like kitchen herbs mainly in pots.
Yeah.
I think that if we're not gonna know what those things are, it would be better to just remove them from the application. And
Okay.
things which are in pots, because there's not.
Too much information?
Yeah, too much information, that's not enough information, so it's like, it was better not to have the information, I think, at all. So what I'm seeing is the ferns, and I see the species called out on the north side, and the equiseta on the south, and some sort of beach grasses. So the cypress trees that are in front, those are existing or new?
No, so I put in Cypress or Pacific Madrone, and Julie made a comment about that, and when I put that in, I didn't know that you have a seating area there now, because I haven't been to the site in a long time. I'm happy to remove one of them to give you light there, and I would have done that voluntarily, knowing that you have seating there. And also your PV panels, I didn't think about that, but I haven't seen them basically. So we're gonna remove one of them and only have one on.
So a madrone is a beautiful tree, so I mean, we're just in the questions section, so we can cover that in
Yeah.
discussion. Obviously,
I just
I-
felt
yeah,
there were a lot
that's
of trees like this on
There are,
Birch Street when we bought the lot, and I think the trees are beautiful, but I also learned that a lot of the neighbors hate these trees because they're dangerous. So the
Yeah.
Pacific Madrone is a beautiful tree, and it's an alternative, and I think we're going for the Pacific Madrone, which, because I also feel a street with trees is a more valuable street, it's a more beautiful street. And a lot of the trees had to be cut down, and I want to give a tree to the neighborhood if the neighbors agree. You know, if the neighbors disagree, we plant something smaller, or we just put a palm tree there or something, I don't know.
okay.
I mean,
I mean,
I'm happy
that's
to
a good
cooperate with any of the
alternative.
neighbors.
I also wanted to ask, so the central volume, and you addressed this a little bit in your presentation when you talked about privacy, but the central volume has no fenestration on the second level on the
Yeah.
north elevation. Is that, I mean, I guess broadly the question is why? But more specifically, is that specifically in response to feedback you got from neighbors?
Yeah, it's a privacy issue, basically, no. I don't want to look into the neighbor's yards. I'm not that nosy.
Good,
And we're also very private people, so the house is a bit, introverted, so.
And, I think that this is, on the west elevation entrance from Birch Street, it looks like the roof line of the front volume, conflicts with the window on the volume behind, but I assume there's this gap between the houses, right?
Yeah.
So they're not touching, it's just blocking that.
It's just
slightly.
blocking. Mhm.
And then there are a few areas, let's see, like, I have notes on my copy here. So for example, on your sheet A 4.2, there are areas underneath stairs or areas of passages, has to do with how you're cascading down. I don't know,
This one?
no, are you on 4.2?
I can go to the fence.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, you go to the
can
fence.
you go to 4.2, and it is that view, but it's, taken through the area where there's a passage on the right. The upper drawing on.
First, we want the
Yeah,
share
so-
screen first. Sorry. Do this second.
Okay. In any case, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, while we're doing that, did you know, are there any drawings that have the exterior lighting noted on them? Placement of exterior lights. Do you have any exterior lighting by?
Oh, lighting. Right. Lights. We have, the site plan has some exterior lights noted. There's not much exterior lighting. We have some lights along the driveway and we have, I think, 2 or 3, I think it's 3, I always use uneven numbers. I think we have some lights in the roof down lights.
So you don't.
There are
have
some
any
bollard
exterior
lights
responses.
and there's some bollard lights along the entry stair and along the driveway. Just for-
Okay, thanks for calling this up. So I guess what I'm wondering is whether there's access to, this space, which is, I think, also this space, or if this is dead space.
Yeah, so this is, I thought the kids could crawl up in there with some pillows or something. It's not really, and then there's some storage space underneath there, so it's kind of a lost space. I'm not really proud of that space. As an architect, it's kind of I don't know, I thought I could, use it somehow for the kids to crawl up in there and maybe, I don't know what to do.
I mean, honestly, we're not, it's not really in our purview to talk about the interior. I was just curious.
And sometimes houses have quirky spaces like this, and sometimes you find they use later. Maybe it's a space for a dog in the end or something,
So it's accessible, it is accessible from the interior. I
Yeah,
think.
totally, yeah. But it's also, that's, privacy. That's not really a space that looks into your, nobody's gonna stand there and like look into your house or something.
And,
That's what I mean by, it's not really a space where somebody hangs out.
And I
much.
think you said that there is, can I just ask what you?
Your house would be on this side, right? So
And I don't, what are you talking about?
we're talking
There's
about,
Space under the stairs, and there's a window on. the
right,
side.
there's
So
like,
that's unusual.
this is like this little space.
Oh.
So you can't really stand up in there, so. As I said, it's a space maybe for a dog or for the kids to crawl into. But it's not really a space that somebody, where your comment was like, oh, they have big windows to my house. But it's not really space there where somebody sits on a couch and looks at your house. It's like literally a space like this.
The big slider doors are.
Yeah, there's one slider door further down where the stair goes up. So it's the space under the stair basically. So.
So I think my last clarifying question is, it wasn't clear to me from the images well, I see that there are aluminum windows, but in some places they look like they're wood. So you're saying that, is there a stained wood trim on the
Yeah.
windows? Okay.
There's a wood trim around the windows.
All the windows.
Yeah,
And is that the only place where that stained wood occurs on the exterior?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, that's it for me for clarifying questions.
Can you look at your materials slide, your materials
Okay. Yeah. And
for the fiber cement fence? Which is the material for the fence?
for the fence.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have the material listed for the fence. I honestly haven't made a decision. So when there was this in 2022, there was this fire at Highway 101 and And then I changed the whole material palette of the house. Before that, I had a different material palette, which was actually wood. And then I was like, oh, there's fire at the coast, maybe I should change the material palette, and then I switched to this. I could do the fences in wood, honestly. I don't have to do them in fiber cement. However, for the front elevation, I know where the front elevation is now. Maybe it's back.
And Tina, you previously provided me with like a poster of the advanced material and pattern.
So I think for the front elevation, I want the fence to match the front elevation to be part of the house, basically. So there I intend to match the fence with the house, but the side fences could be in a different material.
Okay.
Because here I feel the fence is part of the house. Conceptually, the fences are part of the house. That's why I called the house 5 courtyard house or so, because it's like courtyards. And the courtyards to the north are empty courtyards, like literally light courtyards, and to the south they're gardens. So that's the idea of the house. Does that make sense?
Okay, so, that's it for the questions. We'll have.
Yeah, just one quick question.
Can you do it in public?
Sure.
So, we're gonna open up to the public comment questions.
Okay, yeah, so we're now opening public comments for item number 1. So we have received 3 public comment letters from neighbors and public. So the concerns are mainly focused on insufficient drainage design, landscape maintenance, tree removal for the Cypress Street and side yard, color and material selection and variation, sunlight blockage.
Well, I think, these deserve to be read as opposed to summarized.
Normally just summarize them.
There's 3 and some of the people are here. Julie, are you here to read your comment?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few that are Mark's addressed. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because that was actually this member of the public's
Okay.
letter that I think she can represent.
Okay.
Since she's here.
Okay, and other than that, we have Karen Wilson's letter, so Karen's here, I'm not.
She can represent myself.
Yeah. And then we also have one letter from this individual. Yeah, it's anonymous, and I'll read this. Yeah, so. Yeah, so this individual is probably not here, so we have received this letter regarding this project. So this letter said, summary of main points, demonstration scale was being provided in rule of story posts does not inform or illustrate the massive impact of the proposed 2-story home from 2-story with loft from 1227 Birch Street. I respectfully request story posts to depict massing as viewed from my residence.
That is yours. That's this person. No, it's not. Who is it?
I don't have a name here.
Behind the.
Oh, okay.
Cedar Street.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Glenn.
And here's, he asks, does the size of this house fit into the ratio of lot size? Regarding landscaping, Cypress Street proposed in front grows large. I have newly installed solar panels on rooftop, both south and west facing rooftops, and need height to be considered so as not to block sun. I'm requesting another ornamental option that will not grow so tall that it blocks sun early to midday when fully bloom. Additionally, my landscaping in the front is new, and I want assurance that debris and dust accumulated in my yard and patio from construction will be addressed at the end of each week.
Which neighbor is this?
That's me. That is.
That's what I thought. I thought that was Julie.
Okay, so she can.
Okay, that's, I don't think it's, are you Jane Stegler? Or?
Oh.
No, there is a letter
Okay.
from Janine Stegmeyer.
Julie, now.
Okay,
If I'm
sorry.
mistaken,
Who
sorry.
are you meeting? Christy Usher or James Stegmaier?
This is the owner from, this is the owner of 1227 First Street. Oh, that's you. Oh, okay, sorry about that.
That's okay, I said it.
Here, let me talk you out.
I didn't remember what I
Yeah,
wanted.
we have, okay.
Glenn, let me help you out.
Can I answer all these things or should I?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
no. Let's see.
Yeah, we have to, I can display this letter, on the screen. The last letter, that's from James Stegmaier.
Yeah,
She's the one that's not here.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think she's
so
the
we should
one.
read.
And that's the neighbor on Cedar
Okay.
Street?
yes. They are on George Street,
Hmm.
which is around the corner.
I have a, so,
Do you?
yeah, do you want me to read it? or-
Yeah, sure, please,
Okay.
please. So Mark is gonna read it, Glenn.
Okay, this is a letter from James Stegmaier, 770 George Street. It's addressed, dear Glenn, community members and owners. I want to express a couple of things regarding this project on Birch Street. First of all, thank you to the owners and applicants for submitting the thorough representation of your house you are proposing. It makes it easy to understand the visual impact it will have on the community. I appreciate the size and scale of the home you're presenting, and through the modern design is different. Oh, sorry, and though the modern design is different from what we are accustomed to, it seems rather simple and straightforward. The concerns that I want to address are the window exposure, the colors, or the color you have chosen. It seems that the fence that is drawn would not block the view into adjacent houses, but there are windows on their homes at the unprotected locations. It seems unfair to the privacy of the neighbors on both sides, if in fact they do overlap. The other concern is the color of the fiber cement panels and the matching the top batten fence and roofing. It seems very stark for the neighborhood and would be equally as modern and appealing to have a darker version of those same finishes. I'm grateful to have you take these items into consideration.
Thank you, Mark. Okay.
Okay, and, yeah, so then I'll read instruction for speakers, for any speakers. So for those attending this meeting in person, speaker forms available, on the rear wall. Please provide me with your speaker set immediately. For those on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to raise your hand to speak on this agenda item. For those joining by phone, please press *9 to indicate your desire to speak. Please provide your speaker form, raise your hand, or press *9 on your device immediately. And these speaker forms will not be accepted. When you hear your name or last 4 digits of your phone number called, I'll prompt you to come to the front or unmute your account, then you may begin speaking. I will then ask you to state your name for the record. For those joining by phone, please press *6 to unmute or mute your microphone. As mentioned earlier, please limit your speech to 3 minutes or less. Okay, and now the first speaker we have is Julie. Is it?
No.
Is this from you, Julie, or? Yeah, so, yeah, you're the first speaker. Please.
Okay.
Just come to the front, or you can, stay here, and you can speaking.
Let's stay here. Mark, I have to agree with Jan. I think that having studied architecture and like modern design, I think your design and your plans, your presentation are exceptional. My concerns are, we're next door. We've been there the longest. We were the only house on the block. I guess that's irrelevant now. Now there's 4 of us, but you'll be 5. But, to me, it feels like a large house. You took into consideration sunlight, which I appreciate. My entire south facing wall are 3 bedrooms with 3 minimal sized windows. And that is the only light we get in there. It's also, unless we have shades drawn, it's our only place for privacy, right? Our entire house, otherwise it's one big room that's fully exposed to the street. So when we're in our bedrooms, it's important that we are achieving the same privacy that we get thus far for the last 12 years. I planted those forest, the plants, they've grown up. They block a lot of my sunlight. They will let some in, but so daylight and privacy are my biggest concerns for both the bedrooms and, like you said, my hot tub. I didn't understand that image of the view from your daughter at your wife's height, I didn't quite understand that. I also want to address the tree. So I'm glad you're willing to consider something other than the cypress. I don't want an 80-foot tree on our street. It wouldn't go anymore. We've depleted all the big trees, but a big bush or a big tree would be great at a minimal height. Because at that point, it's going to start affecting the sunlight on our new patio as well as potentially the roof line. I'm not following my notes at all because I forgot my glasses, so.
You want to borrow mine?
You're not our readers.
The lower part is, I'm not very strong though.
Oh, no, it's okay. I blew this up. It's huge. And I can see it now. I'm in trouble. The colors, oh. These are, the colors, and materials, I mean, I just feel like your house, I love it. I think like, it's so attractive. And I think what you've done on the inside is pretty exciting. I just worried that if you said we're contemporary, I don't feel like our block is contemporary at all. And I feel like it's more, maybe, it's like, it has more of a traditional feel than contemporary feel in my eyes. And this is, to me, not contemporary, but modern. It's reminiscent to me of like the Disney Symphony Hall.
Oh my God, no, not at
So
all.
congratulations, because I love Frank Gehry. What concerns me is just seeing a big white mass of massive shingles. And so there's my concern. Can I get used to it? Possibly, but it is stark and it's not super attractive, and it will be kind of basic. That's what I'll see from the backyard. And then just the runoff. We have a hot tub. It's sunken. It's in that back corner. We've done a lot of mitigation recently with Jane and Susan directly behind us. They did the majority of it, but I sunk a few $1,000s into putting some piping in to go in down while they were with their pipes exposed. So if there's any backup or extra flow from any water mitigation that wasn't addressed, my hot tub was.
Yeah, you showed me the concrete wall where there was sometimes water in the back of your lot back then. I don't know if you remember. There was the other concrete, like some wall under your fence. There was some water built up.
Yeah,
I remember that.
right. So we've since then.
Put pipes in.
Yeah, we put pipes in all over, so the water will hopefully keep running to one seat. But those are my concerns. I mean, I am very concerned about that upper window. But
Which one? The one. I can, this one? Yeah, there's literally no way anybody. This one?
Yeah, it's not on this.
Oh, it's not on the screen. Can you switch? I don't know if you can do a rendering or so from that window. I
No,
know
that's
that's, yeah, so there's no way. That's basically a view
In the
line.
backyard?
Yeah, in the backyard.
So this
There's,
is my house.
pardon?
no, it would look. I think there's a big tree, there's a big cypress.
There's a big
on-
cypress tree and other foliage.
That's
There's
pretty
like
tall.
trees here. There's smaller trees here too in the backyard.
The big cypress is falling over.
Yeah, but we can see your backyard because of the foliage that's there. There's
Well,
smaller
that's trees
trees.
falling
They're
down.
about this tall. Here.
All the most expensive is blocking the view.
The smaller house is blocking the view into your yard. So all you can see from there is the roof of the smaller house. That's what that's saying. And you can see that here, when you draw a line from here, you're basically looking at
Oh,
this
that
roof.
is-
And here's your hot tub.
got it.
And then there's sunlight coming through the setback and through, this is only 10 foot tall, so it's much lower than your eave here. You see the eave line, and the eave line is what casts the shadow, not the ridge line. So the sun falls along the inclination of the roof, and the eave is what casts the shadow And because of the eave being so low, you will still get sun on your whirlpool and no view from that window. So that's also why we place the windows there. That's also why the roof inclination goes this way, so we can place the window there, not the other way around. Because if I would flip the roof the other way, I would actually get more surface for my solar panels, but we did it this way in order to be more mindful of your circumstance. So there's a lot of stuff we're doing to help the neighbors,
Yeah,
but again, it's an equilibrium we need to find in order for us to build something on it. And
there's
also-
not gonna be a patio off that window door.
No, not at all.
Okay,
Excuse me, we have to spend more than 3 minutes, 3 minutes, so, please.
so the last question or whatever concern is the fence that you put in, if it's 8 feet and just.
It's
what
six,
material?
it's 6 foot, like that's only allowed. However, we're going down, there's a little bit of a retaining wall, so for us, it's a bit lower. And I guess that's allowed, but it's 6 foot to the neighbor. It's off the soil,
It's off the finish,
it's off the
The
finished
ground.
soil, off the ground to you, it's 6 foot, to us, it's.
Does it shift?
Yeah, so for us, it's higher,
Right.
so if I stand there, I can't look over it, but for you, it's 6 foot.
Thank you,
So it's very private, I mean, and then again, like when I go back to these,
yeah.
the windows, the window area. Just the square footage of those windows is less than your square footage of your windows. The square footage that looks, and then this part is 18 feet away from
Yeah,
your house, so
sorry,
it's,
Mark, I suggest we
Okay.
can further discuss this, during the discussion
Yeah,
section.
okay, yeah.
I still have another speaker.
Stage.
Okay, sorry, yeah, I just want to respond, and we can meet after this, and I can keep explaining if you want to.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you very much for your comments, and, the
Is there
last.
anybody in line?
No, I don't see the raised hands here. So last comment, the speaker we have is Darren Wilson.
Hi, I'm asking today so that this project can move forward with approval. I think it's beautiful. I do have a concern about the window at the end. That the approval of this development included condition that no retention basin is installed and all the water discharge and runoff to be put into a solid drain pipe and sent through the deeded easement that exists for your property through through all the way through to Cedar Street, so that the water doesn't collect on behind her fence. And she doesn't have the groundwater, Jane and Susan won't have the groundwater, I won't have that groundwater intrusion. The solid pipe is needed due to the reasons given in my submitted letter. The owner of 1234 Cedar Street is fully aware of the easement, she bought the property with the easement on it. The easement was created around 2000, when I was being represented by Dave Byers and Mike McCracken in a lawsuit. As a result of expert testimony, it was deemed necessary to create an easement for future development surrounding my property. As the water table is extremely high and the surrounding ground could not absorb high concentrations of water. In 2014, another developer built 1255 and 1256 Cedar Street. Birch Street. The retention pits were dug on both properties. These pits created uncontrollable flow when full. They spilled over into my property and the water began rising up underneath my home. I hired a land use attorney, Ken Van Vleck, to look at the predicament. He, along with geoforensic scientist Dan Dickman and soils engineer Jeff Bean, concluded the county's use of retention tanks in these conditions, soil types, slope of land, high water tables were a complete failure of the county. The only solution around this is to capture all your water and use the deeded easement with a solid pipe and then restore the property back. You know, I don't want the neighbor would still have where this easement goes is to still leave her land, bury the pipe so that her land is still beautiful and usable. It doesn't have any interference except when that pipe is installed. This would protect all of us from flooding, not just me, obviously. Jill, I think was your name? Jill, Julie. And Jane and Susan on the other side. Now, Mr. Van Vleck explained this to me, showing me 4 pencils. He picked one up and he said, "This is the easement." I own it. I can do whatever I want with it. And there is nothing anyone can do about it, and he put it in his pocket. And that was his explanation of how to use an easement. There is no reason that you can't. And the whole, like she said, there were no houses back there. Now all the trees are gone. The water flow is extremely different, and you'll suffer too. You'll have water backing up in your swimming pool. So, the only other question I have is that window, I think, would it be looking down at my kitchen? Because the cypress tree that's there now I had an arborist look at it last year. It's beginning to fall over from all the water pressure on it, and we already lost a tree right behind her house.
So that window is about 100 feet away from your kitchen.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just.
There are trees.
And I'm sitting low.
There are trees here, right?
Where, wait,
There are smaller trees here, some bushes that
are on that lot?
yeah, in the corner that are relatively,
Oh, so, but that back section with the windows over further.
yeah, it's here.
And where?
The
am I?
window is actually here,
My house?
here.
Okay.
So as I said, this is like about 28 feet long, and there's a 20-foot setback, and that, I would guess that that's about 30 feet, so I'm saying
Fair
maybe
warning,
100 feet or something.
just fair warning for all the neighbors, that cypress tree that's right there is ready to fall from the immense amount of water intrusion, and it will smash a house. It is that big. And the only time you get it out is before you guys build a house, because there's no other way out.
You want to, yeah.
It's not.
Again, I'm very open to
No, I just
mitigate
don't
all of this. It's gonna be in the building phase when we work with the civil engineer, and I'm happy to use the easement to do whatever it takes. Or pump the water up, one or the other.
If you're gonna do something that you're saying you're gonna do during the building phase, you have to put it in the plans, and those notes have to be transferred
Be transferred.
at the building.
Can I do
phase.
some research before what
Yeah, but
the
you
different?
can communicate those to Glenn, and he can put them in as conditions of approval, but of course, you can do some research as to how you're gonna come through on the statements that you've made.
Yeah,
But the statements that you've made should probably be reflected in conditions of approval, just so that it's not just a verbal thing, and then.
I wanna know how much it costs to use the easement and put a pipe in there, because I don't wanna commit to the cost yet. Because as I'm saying, maybe it's a fundraiser in the neighborhood, if other people would chip in, because it might be a big effort, I don't know. If it costs $100,000, I don't wanna commit to it yet.
I think it's gonna be less than taking the retention basement, which is gonna hybrid the land.
I don't know, I want to talk to your civil engineer before I commit to it, so, I mean,
And
of
then
course, I mean, it's not like I'm like, yeah, let's going on. You know, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're here today for a decision, not a recommendation.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I guess the options on the table for you to have time to research that before you commit to anything is, for them to make a decision followed by an appeal period.
But we're not making a decision on civil issues,
Okay,
civil engineering issues, we're making a decision.
On the project, right?
Yeah,
I get it.
standard.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
So.
so do you have
just
to make a
give you time-
decision?
So, we can add conditions of approval that can reflect some of the statements that have been made, and I'm saying this not because.
It can be a little bit as well, I mean, the conditions that the committee's kind of.
It's not civil
Yeah, it's
engineering
not civil
related.
engineering.
Right, it'll be communicated to client like now in this condition. I
Okay,
just-
we're not gonna.
oh,
this-
Yes, yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
And I'm saying this for them, so I have to make sure that you guys all know this. But there are people in this room who have, who may not be able to support the project. Should things go a different way. So, what happens is it is followed by an appeal period, just to give you guys all, the full transparency of the process. The decision is followed by a 2-week appeal period. Glenn will tell you when the last date of the appeal is. An appeal can be filed just to buy time, and then the appeal can always be withdrawn, okay? But if the appeal remains, which anyone can appeal, any decision for any reason really, then it'll go to the planning commission on appeal. Okay,
Okay,
so usually some of these things are usually worked out before a decision is made. There's time for community, some, type of discussion or evaluation of options, but you're here for a decision today. I'm not trying to say that they will definitely make a decision today, but it is here for a decision. Like, decision options are yes, no, or you can ask for continuance, which will also buy you.
Can you have my question?
Yeah.
So I should ask this during the question period in the beginning, but I see that there is a drainage plan, but there aren't actually any civil sheets in this set, right?
No,
There's no civil engineering.
There's the civil sheet prepared by the architect.
Okay,
So the reason why there's no engineer civil sheet because Mark worked with the public works department and public works department agreed to defer it. And also the safety.
defer.
Defer to the planning stage.
Okay.
So for DPW, just the driveway. I'm telling you about.
yeah.
I guess
They didn't,
this application has the level of drainage information in it that we're
they
accustomed.
didn't have an issue with the,
Yeah, we had a drainage review.
they didn't have an issue with drainage.
Okay.
Even now,
Because we don't really address drainage very much, but I am used to
That is-
these projects which come here have like a C, you know, C.
It can be prepared by the architect.
Okay, so we have the level of information.
The architect we have on staff is actually a licensed civil engineer in Texas. She has a civil engineering licensing exam.
A 1.7 is the, is the
She knows what
drainage
she's doing.
plan. Because I just have to say to your comment, I mean, I think these matters about whether we're using the easement and where we're pumping the water, or they feel very much outside of the area of expertise. And I would be comfortable putting something in the suggestions area for something to be explored. And this happens a lot because drainage is obviously a big concern in our community. That this is a major area where neighbors have concerns. I know that, you know, it's stated that post-development flows shall not be permitted to exceed pre-development flows. And we always assure people that of course they won't, that those are the rules. But the nuances I think would have to be really worked through the public works and
How long does
I
the appeal take?
well, I just, and I don't think that the drainage issues are issues that we're actually.
No, I haven't. I
Today.
was just wondering how long it is.
I think Glenn can answer that.
Yeah, so for appeal, our objective is to take the appeal to the next decision-making body, authority, within 2 to 3 months. That's objective, but it depends on the complexity of the project, and they take longer than that. So if you decide to appeal the project and work with team, then we'll work together to come up with a.
I don't want it there.
And, I didn't want to comment.
Well, I was gonna say-
Comment,
I
Karen?
was gonna say, is it, am I involved in the discussion period with the committee, or is that just both members?
No. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then,
But if you have questions, which was.
Yeah.
I don't think we've closed the public comment.
Yeah, we
No,
have
we
not yet. So have you finished your
So-
comments if you have? Yeah, thank you very much for your comments and those any raise hands. Mark, would you?
Mark wants to comment.
Yeah.
just, maybe question / comment, but just, you know, limited 3 minutes here, but, in the correspondence, it looks like Mark responded back and said, included a comment here. As Camille explained, the stormwater runoff peak flow and volume will be less than or equal to the undeveloped stormwater runoff peak flow and volume at each point of discharge from the project. I just want to confirm that with you, Camille. Is that an accurate statement? as far as-
Yeah, it's an accurate statement with regard to surface flow. And not, but their concerns have to do with groundwater and
Well, no,
saturation.
it's both.
And an eventual saturation of the ground, and then when you get saturation, then things don't absorb into the ground anymore, they just sheet off. So it goes actually beyond, I think, what our drainage manual tries to
Yeah.
achieve, there's more issues in this neighborhood than can be fully addressed by the drainage manual.
No.
So.
So does that mean that this is a private issue that has to be addressed with private concerns?
It's a private drainage impact issue to neighboring properties that the planning process should try to address to the extent possible, not so much specifically the CRC, but staff. I think we can craft conditions of approval that will go into the decision letter, but they have to be stated at this meeting, even if they're not being made by the CDRC. The CDRC isn't adding conditions, but at least staff can say, you know, the CDRC's decision will include these such conditions.
Yeah,
and we'll
that's-
need to think about how those are drafted.
As part of my comment, then just given the fact that, I mean, the CDRC is not, looking at drainage, et cetera, to that degree that, that my recommendation is that it shows up as a suggestion and not as a condition, given that, that's not necessarily.
Well, no, I think staff would be having it as a condition. So-
Yeah,
so-
staff, but not,
Yeah, so you don't have to address drainage at all.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll just point to.
Yeah, staff conditions are, design review condition is really just one condition of many other conditions that staff puts on there, as well as review agencies, so we can draft something, we'll need to figure out something, well, maybe while you guys are talking, we can figure out something.
Okay.
Okay, and my second, just follow-up comment as well, is that, I did drive the neighborhood, a little bit earlier, there's property, I think it's in Cedar, that's a so-called wood shingle house. That's, of one color, I just want to compliment, the architect on the design, it's a very nice design, and maybe doesn't, our design guidelines or standards, maybe is, oriented towards a certain type of, I think we talked about in previous meetings, the coastal craftsman type design, but, I hope that, we could leave room for more, diverse designs, as the start of the, design standards talk about, and eclectic and diverse neighborhood. So, to that point, I think some questions were brought up earlier about the color of the property. So I wasn't, maybe I was positive to the committee, the voting members. Is it a matter of the color, the number of colors, or the darkness of the color?
It's all of these in our discussion. Yeah.
I have Pandex in my car, would they help you with the color?
Everything.
I have the Pandex, like I have 15 of them in my car.
No,
Does that help you find
No,
any
it's
color?
okay, I think it's basically the color of concrete, but a bit
Yes.
warmer.
So.
So it's not white,
All in
it's not white.
Okay, well, thank you, Zora, thank you. So I think we'll close public comment and then we'll go into our discussion.
Okay, yeah, so I don't see any additional speakers, no more raised hands on Zoom, so Beverly, if you'd like to close public comment.
I'd like to close public comment, please, and move into discussion.
Do we hear something today or do we get notice?
We're still going. We're discussing with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
They have to make a public comment,
Oh.
yeah,
You have, it's not actually
usually the bulk of the.
Yeah, right, right.
We're well over time, but.
Sorry about that.
How about it?
Okay, so we are well over time, and part of the reason that happens with a project like this is that our standards don't actually create a foundation for reviewing a project like this. And, this is where we have to, get very clear about what the intention is of the standards and what we're asking you to comply with. The only thing that really jumps out at me with our standards that is very clear that you have not complied with are the exterior materials and colors. And I want to show you this. So this is what this gray area. So I suspect you already read that, but take another look. And this is what we're going in the temperature resolve.
Yeah, and I just want to say also, because I think other people said it earlier in the project, that I think that this project is really sensitively and beautifully designed and it meets with many of the guidelines beautifully, the cascading down to the topography, the breaking up of massing, the overall scale, the height, the size. Coming in here before today's meeting, I was going to talk to you about that I thought there were some long blank walls that could benefit from more windows, but having heard from all of the neighbors, I think that you've done a great job of meeting those concerns, and I think that's fine. The struggle here is that the single color, is definitely sort of very specifically out of line with what the guidelines are asking for. And I think also, it's a little bit hard not having a little more definition of what the color is. I mean, you have some great photos here, and I can work from this kind of gray. I was also coming in thinking that it was white. So, you know, similarly to like the plants in the pool, I think that when you, assuming we approve and it's conditional, and then you come back with the final submittal, we just have to clarify some of those things. I do feel like there's an opportunity, given that there are wood trims, so we really do have a second material, even though we've been calling it a monochrome house. I think that we actually have two materials, right? We have three materials. We have the fiberboard cement, we have metal roofing, and we have the wood. So, I think right, I think, right, which seem maybe, so we have, I'm only in city of the number of materials.
We have the number of
We
materials, we're just
see.
really working with the.
I call it monochrome because it's like a monochrome color in that sense.
Yeah.
It's not,
Right, it's all.
it's not blue and yellow or something.
Yeah, kind of
It's like there are blue and yellow houses, which are.
The example you gave, you know, is it Bahnhofstrasse? Bahnhofstrasse, that's a tool example.
Yeah, that's on the plans.
Yeah.
I drove around Montero and found a lot of monochrome houses in Montero.
I guess when
I could almost go
Mhm.
with a monochrome palette if it were a deeper palette.
Right, so that would be a little bit closer in. I was gonna say, I mean, I think that's just a question of language, right? If you called it tone on tone, that would be more successful in terms of meeting the guidelines than calling it monochrome, and that's just semantics. But I think what we really want to get to is what the materials are. You know, the Bates Massey house, is that cedar or is that fiber cement that you have in your for this one here? Is that cedar or is that fiber
I
cement?
think that might be cedar.
Because that's something you see a lot of.
Natural gray.
Right, that's something that you see a lot of in Montero also. And I think that even though you are in a blue zone, you know, you don't have any exposed underside eaves. There's a lot of this house that's very good in terms of fire safety. So I think that the cedar side could.
Mark just whispered that the aged cedar is the same color, so
Yeah.
do you have a universal color code for that? Because
Yeah,
that aged cedar is very different from what I'm seeing in your rendering.
yeah, it's maybe a tick lighter, it's maybe like the table, maybe something like this, and you put a cedar, an aged cedar on it.
Well, so that's my question, what is the color? Can you
Yeah.
swatch me?
I can get one of these boards. The thing is, they make darker fiber cement boards, but they're colored through and they don't look very good. And they look very commercial.
This is
and
not like
I
a
don't want to use them.
siding that you're using?
It's more like a hardy panel, but untreated. So it's like a hardy panel, but an untreated panel that you can from Swiss Pro or so. And the Swiss Pro also makes treated panels. And then they're more like a carpet or something, but they also look like a bank.
Okay.
You know, so I literally want the concrete look because then it looks more craftsman-like because it will age differently. Because the treated panels are also coated.
You have your siding, you have the fence, can you bring up the image of your exterior and we can take it material by material?
And I guess what I'm wondering is, if there's a way to increase the amount of the natural stained wood that you have just with the trims. I noticed that there's also this broad, awning and entry. There's
The other thing is.
the fence in the front wanting to be sort of a piece with the building, but my first thought about how to make this conform better with the guidelines without disrupting the essence of the house.
My computer doesn't want to start.
Is a way to take that secondary material and bump it.
Oh, my computer is frozen here.
You should do it from your mind improvement. Just in terms of listing the materials. Because we will need to come to some sort of confirmation in order to make a decision.
I mean, I was looking at houses like this, right, which is exposed concrete, which is the same color, basically, the exposed
Yeah.
concrete, right? And you have Michael Watson's house, which is
No,
Snow
that's-
White, right? So,
Is that the house on 13th Street that you're pointing to?
so in my mind, it's more like the sand here or something.
So a natural concrete color,
Yeah, it's like a natural concrete color.
okay.
That's how the panel will look. It's not white. It's definitely not white.
And then,
And then the idea, so it's more like the Massey house in terms of color. It will look like this. Well, the one, and this is one example from Europe, Herzogenaurach's Ricola factory is similar.
Where are you pointing?
This one here on the upper right-hand corner, which is also on the plan, which is the Ricola factory in
So
Switzerland, which
if
is.
you were to do that for part of the siding, could you then do something different? Or in that family, but something different for the roof line, something, it seems so important, but it be monochromatic. No, it's just.
Yeah, I could do the entry roof, for example, I could do in a treated wood. I mean, there's this horizontal entry roof. The other thing is also the interior is CLT, so it's wood. So when you look into the windows and the light is on at night, for example, you see a wood interior. So
and I know this is kind of a fine point, but this is.
like, for example, mine right now it's dark, right? But this would be like a wood interior. Same here, you would see wood through the windows. Because it's exposed wood basically, so it will not, it will looks very warm on the inside, and that's also the idea that the outside is a bit cooler and modern, and the inside is a bit warm, almost like. So I work a lot with dichotomies when I design.
We understand what you were going for. I think it's too stark for the neighborhood, so if
We could do this roof in wood.
Yes,
This-
yeah.
The entry roof,
Yeah, the entry.
and horizontal.
that would help me.
That would help.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna see the main roofs change to a different color from the wall, because I think that they are intended to read as fully plain. So do you think that is it a corrugated metal roof that you're planning for?
This roof was, I had actually no opinion on this. Right now it's rendered also in the fiber cement. It's CLT, that's why it can float, it's structural.
The roof, is it good?
This was a flat roof.
Not the angle, the gables, what are?
Oh, the gables is corrugated metal or stainless steel metal, one or the
Yeah,
other,
one or
but
the
it's
other.
intended to be,
So I mean,
Painted
that's
right
nice
now.
to have a textural change, like that it's in the same color, but with the material and textural change.
Although the light colored corrugated roofs is not allowed in our standards. The light colored corrugated roofs, we're asking that they're darker. Camille, can you speak to that? The light colored corrugated roofs, is that?
We don't allow them in design review districts because, the energy code, as you know, is, encouraging reflective roofs, but we have a standard in the design standards specifically that says materials cannot be reflective.
it's not reflective, it's painted. It's matte, it's a painted roof, it's not metal.
It's a color reflectivity, it's the SRI, index, the solar reflectance index. Which is, for cool roofs, they have the SRI index.
Okay.
So there's a certain reflectivity to lighter
Whole
colors.
caps are melting, you need to do something about
We
it.
also have design review standards and.
Yeah, no.
And I mean, that's part of, one of the priorities of a design review standards update is to address the energy code.
Okay,
But at this moment in time, we're looking at a law, that says the material, roofs specifically should not be reflective.
okay.
So you're going to go with a dark.
The language is like the group materials and colors are encouraged. Solar panels are acceptable.
Also, there's gonna be a local architect, you could join the committee and then you can be involved in it.
Encourage means not required, or,
We're pretty darn, we're really quite consistent.
but he says it's encouraged.
We're very consistent on this. The language here, unfortunately, I think part of the update is that, it's kind of very soft language, and we're gonna make that more clear language, because the design standards should be objective, it shouldn't be kind of a wavering. It should be a simple yes, no, it should not be.
SRI lower than. higher
Exactly,
than.
so we
So
read
we have
these,
yet to do that.
we read these to be the standards.
Okay,
But those current.
how dark?
Exactly, how dark, Camille?
We say beige is fine,
Beige.
but not off-white. so that
It's
it's
beige,
there.
it's beige, it's not off-white, it's concrete colored, I mean.
Well, what I would recommend to
you
the
have an
design
SRI
review
level?
committee is, instead of making up his palette one by one in discussion.
Right.
Is
I hear you.
to continue
Yeah.
this, because
Right.
your beige is maybe my off.
No, I know, I mean, I would probably,
Subjective.
I would get a material sample.
The issue is, can we give him an SRI? index?
Yes, or like, high 20s or lower,
How much?
high 20s. I believe was the lower end of the SRI.
High twenties, you're saying? SRI,
Yeah.
SRI 29, furnished bronze, 25.
Must be lower than the high twenties or?
Lower.
SRI, what does SRI stand for?
Solar reflectance index. It's on the manufacturer's brochure of most, roofing materials.
I have
Um,
something
so
on
I
my
hear you.
screen right here, if you want.
That'll allow more time for the
Yeah,
drainage issues.
right. Okay.
So for example, a living.
Thank you, Camille, thank you immensely.
Oyster white is a, and then I have 75,
What's 25?
so like this is a 25.
Oh my god, it's almost black.
Yeah, these are dark.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know that this is a, okay, so here's the situation.
That's a different house.
we're in.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
That's a different house.
if you're open to requesting a continuance, then you could define exactly the color, you could bring us an actual color, and we could approve that color. In the absence of having a color in front of us and having that level of definition, I think that if we were inclined, which I am inclined to approve the project conditionally, then we would have to dictate either an SRI or a color. I mean, I think that
I don't think we're inclined to debate, Mark, you're
yeah,
fully capable of, doing the research. You'll need to research the drainage issues, or shall I say the drainage issues will need to be researched. And we would like to give you the opportunity to take another look, given the color issue. It's not an issue of materials, it's an issue of color. Are you clear on what the issue is?
Yeah, but,
Okay.
yeah.
And we'll be
No, I
as
mean,
specific as possible with the SRI. Numbers, we'll look that up and provide that to you. So our question for you is, are you interested in returning to us with material samples and this color?
When I,
Yeah, now Mark, so let me tell you more about this. I think right now, so we're talking about the change of maybe like the majority of the existing color board you're proposing. So I'm just afraid that when the CRC approved the project with conditions today, then it will be kind of subjective, like not the roof, but like other materials. First, it will be difficult for me and like other staff members to determine whether they comply with the CRC standards. So we'll be resolving like additional back and forth between staff and CRC members, so that's additional time that will likely spend on the project if we move forward with condition, like additional approval. And on the other hand, regarding the drainage design, so the neighbors, they have the right to appeal the project. So if you take like some time, like before the like final approval, to work with the neighbors and work with your civil drainage engineer to work something out before a formal approval, that may reduce the likelihood of having the project getting appealed. So those are benefits of continuing this project, so to share with you. And you will,
you're saying I should apply for What are you saying?
About what I just suggested.
Continues, that's just gonna continue.
The
So basically,
benefits of you returning with the color resolution and the drainage research, will
I
benefit.
submitted this project initially in December 2020.
but it was like.
We went through a very lengthy process with the planning department and has been very, very difficult to. say
The one
least.
thing I should point out as well is if there is a vote with a condition with a very specific, minimum CRI.
I mean,
I think there's a possibility as well that if that condition, if that approval goes through and the architect or maybe disagree with that condition, is it possible then that project gets brought back in front of the CRC? So it's almost like a continuance, but
Oh, if the compliance isn't made, if the architect doesn't satisfy the condition,
exactly, yeah.
what happens?
Yeah, so the CRC will make conditions and staff will work with the architect and as well as the CRC members to make sure they're in compliance. And if there's any like issues with compliance where, let's say, the architect is to disagree with like one of the conditions, at that time, the project may have to move back to CRC for another round.
I mean, when I hear 25 and I drive through Montara, there's no roof that's 25. Sorry, when I see the darkness of.
No,
the line-
I'm with you and
You drive through Montara, there's no roof that's 25. I would be required
I mean.
to make the darkest roof in all of Montara. That's discrimination at that point. I will start to talk to an attorney, sorry.
I mean, look at the roofs across the street.
Yeah,
What are the SRIs?
yeah, that's
on those
basic, that's a
roofs?
little bit darker than my roof.
Mhm.
What are the SRIs on those? roofs?
I'm not.
Thing is, we're like,
I think those are below, there's like another tab called LRV, so I'm more familiar with LRV, those are below 45. But the FRI is also new to me.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar.
This SRI is not included in the standards, right?
It's not.
Planning.
And
It's a
it's a
really,
planning issue.
it's a bad issue,
what did you
so
say, LR?
LRV, line reflected value, that's the value I'm familiar with,
I
but
just-
not.
Push back a little bit, I feel like. I think this is a really successful project and I would hate to see it have to be continued based on the fact that we don't have a color sample here. I mean, I wish we had a color sample here. But I feel like we frequently work through projects that have much bigger issues. Do you know what the LRV is that we're supposed to be aiming for?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
can
have
set
to-
I mean, look at this, if, you
Are those
know,
LRVs?
this is LRV.
Mhm.
And I feel like I know that we're not gonna approve a project that's at 100 or even 90, but I
Right.
feel like if you look at 70 or 80 LRV.
Mark,
those are
can you
projects
swing
we
around
see a lot
here,
of.
please?
I'm fine with 80. I'm totally fine
Oh,
with 80.
you're looking at it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was shooting for 90. I think the facade is about 90, but
Right, I'm looking at the same thing.
I'm fine with 80. I
Um,
mean, the roof is like a tone darker than the walls.
Okay.
I think that could still.
So you're willing to take the components of your materials and modulate
Yeah.
within.
I just wish, I mean, if this is a metric that you can work with. I think we want to make it easy for the planners to feel like.
Thank you, fine. To me, that would be ridiculous.
Well, that's LRV, is that compatible with the SRI?
I'm not very sure.
Okay,
We don't have like.
so
Yeah.
the other way to go, Mark, is. But there's no discussion around it. And that's what continuance allows you to have, is the discussion. The other way to go is that we write this up, and as you can see, in every other it's very big sort of project, and we just put a standard up there that you would then have to comply with. It's not.
And I mean, I would be comfortable saying that the standard would be that the roof would be, an LRV greater than 80%, and that the body of the house could be in the 80 to 90 range.
But it's not up to us, it's,
No, we would write it
it's coming,
into the
it's
letter.
coming
Yeah. I
down
would
from
say if we're,
planning building.
if we're moving toward approving conditionally approve the project, I would say just kind of refer to planning and as Camille mentioned, so the only all information we have right now is SRI of like height, like from.
Well,
zero to
actually, I need to write that
20.
into,
Yeah,
I need to write that, I'm not going to defer to planning, I'm going to write it into our
Yeah,
decision.
so
So
would it
that
be,
would be approved under that condition, or,
Exactly,
but
yeah,
would it be still up to the planning? board?
No,
So that would be already.
that's right,
That's
we'll
what I
be doing our research, like you'll be doing your drainage research.
yeah,
We'll be doing our research to find out what that number is, and it will be in there, and it will be a condition. But that will carry through your project.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll do that
I'm
number.
looking for both, actually.
okay,
And are we agreeing on 80 or would that number change?
Well, we're shooting for this sort of thing, but we don't know for sure until we talk.
we'll need to work
Well,
with
if she's
Camille
saying
and.
20, then we're still. on the-
Yeah.
No, she's saying 30, I think, but I don't know what that looks like.
but you know, what we have in the
Saying
standards
high 20s.
is warm muted colors, right? That's sort of what I'm looking for. So what chart of us?
I mean, there is a brand new house by Michael Monson in white, so I mean. And there's.
Yeah, you mean in the neighborhood? What about?
Yeah, it's in Montero.
Yeah, some of these things depends when they were approved.
May I ask, if we were to write our letter and say, because we frequently say 1 tone darker, 2 tones darker, could we not write the letter to say, we agreed that the color of the roof would be not lighter than LRV 80% as defined by this website? that we're
No,
all
we
looking
can't
at
say
right
that
now?
about the roof because we can say that about the exterior.
Okay,
And all the rest of the materials, fence, and, you know, all the rest of the materials. But we cannot say that about the roof, that is something you and I can.
Yeah, here's the standard.
yeah. I mean, over here.
This,
No,
this, yeah, this is our standard, but on top of that, planning and building.
It's supposed to be because that's enforceable building code.
Yeah,
Sure, I mean, I think obviously you have to meet the planning code and building code. But in terms of our approval, we would be asked, could we not ask for, a non-reflective roof?
and we just
Um,
have to find out what that number is.
But I don't wanna put in our letter a number that might be, if that number is 30, I mean, look at,
Well, I think
this
that's,
is not something that, these don't have the colors on them, but the chart that I was just looking at. These are, yeah, well, this is the SRI chart, but I had one previously up that had images. I mean, I'm from Marjorie, this is much darker than most of what we see, and also, I mean, this isn't Florida, right, this isn't Arizona, but, you might like getting a little bit of sort of heating into your house, but, I mean, on principle, I agree with him, we don't want black roofs, we don't want super
No.
dark roofs.
I think we just need to
Building.
specify, that's my only
We've
point.
never, we've never specified, and that's right, I think that's a nice meeting.
We've never had to. So, we've never been in this position. But we did have a project that, ended up with a light colored roof.
Sorry.
No, a reflective, non-material roof that was an issue. Where it's cited. So that's when we became more strict about it. If, is that the SRI?
This is SRI, but see, like, look at, so
Do we
this,
wanna-
yeah, but I think this is quite, this is, I'm looking for, you know, I don't know if she said a number.
Well,
Close
this
to
is 55.
Right,
This
so
is
that's
47.
So that's way above the Camille.
This is 26.
That's quite dark, so that would comply, but that's quite dark.
So would you go, if we go to that charcoal gray, I mean,
I could probably work with something like this.
but you couldn't work with that,
The
right?
problem is the fiber cement The privacy antennas that are colored, they look really commercial. I mean, the house would look like a bank. I
I
mean,
mean,
at
there's
that point,
no other grades.
I would reconsider the facade piece.
Well, that's why.
This would be the reason to request to continue in.
Yeah.
I thought you might hit up against that and want to reconsider the tone on tone in different. In a different family.
Yeah, the issue, I think, is the facade, it will affect the facade.
This is.
But, and then, I mean, you know, I think. Simulate how that would work.
Yeah.
Just takes time.
Exactly, and you want that time.
I mean, after almost 3.5 years. of work,
Could it be possible that the condition is written to, require that the roofing material is, is chosen by Mark, and then is emailed or sent to you for approval at a later time? Is that like-
No, it has to go through staff, it doesn't come back.
Oh, yeah, it goes through staff, this is.
No,
Okay.
Yeah, it can't, there's no.
We're
mechanism
here,
for that.
basically, this is already.
We only 40 something.
The charcoal gray? No, that's where something else.
No, it's too late.
No, that was the SRI one, we were getting closer with the RV product.
What's that?
That's so doesn't that look fine to you? That's what I'm saying, the SRI metric is way out of, right, even that wouldn't comply, I mean, you frequently.
Yeah,
Where's
where's the
that color?
charcoal gray on this list?
Well, the charcoal gray we were looking at was the LRV
Right.
list, so that's why I'm,
Oh, no, it was,
so, well, I'm not sure that I have.
yeah, so I understand it may end up being a different color scheme if you need to go that dark on the roof. What's the soonest one that Mark could return?
Yeah, you go, yes.
No, it'd be a lot shorter, because we're just addressing this one issue.
Okay.
And the soonest will be next month.
I mean, Charleston Gray is 20, I just don't
Next
believe it's.
14.
Yeah.
When does Mark need to respond?
Next Friday. Next Friday.
Mark,
That's good.
Next week, right?
if you could respond by next Friday with the colors,
Next Friday with your colors and
what's the colors?
just the colors.
This SRI requirement is in the code?
It's from the energy code, and I have that section, but I don't have the authority to make recommendation on it. I will have to probably engage our building plan checkers, engineers.
I mean,
So, if you have to change, if we come down with a super dark color and then you change all the colors, you might be sent back here.
the house was black or dark gray when I initially submitted it, and I was requested by the planner to blacken it up.
Really?
Ah.
Cause that's.
Yeah, you don't remember the email? Oh, maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was
It
another
wasn't me.
planner. Might have been pre-planning, yeah, it might have been pre-planning. Sorry, I don't know if you, what's in the.
Well, that's.
Would you feel comfortable?
Yeah, so-
Normally, we don't comment on colors because it's not.
Yeah. It was a dark gray,
It
yes,
is.
it was initially a
It's
dark.
not
gray.
within like.
Now I'm changing it to the dark.
CDR.
Oh.
Because I read this and I've made it black gray and then I was requested to be dark now. That's why I'm a bit steaming right now.
Solution when I drove around is to flip it, yeah, to.
Well,
Yeah, but not, it was a different material too, so now.
Do you want the time to consider this?
As I said, this has taken 3.5 years and.
Right, one
Adding
more
more
month,
time is also adding more costs, and this has been a very
One more
expensive project. I mean,
yeah.
So far already, so
Do you feel like you could,
I have to, I guess, that's what it's.
I mean,
It's like
that rather
decorating
than
yourself.
do a directive of you have to do this to the roof and not change anything else, I would rather you find the time.
I would take it. I think I take it. I don't want to take up the rest time. I would take it.
Okay, and we'll get you that number, we'll get you.
Yeah.
And, hopefully that'll be communicated to you very quickly,
Yeah,
but you understand that what you're looking at, you're not looking at changing anything else unless you feel compelled to. Okay. But in terms of the siding, the volumes, the window placement, the landscape, although we should talk about that. Are you replacing one of the trees with another tree?
Yeah, so I have two trees in the front, right? So I would probably not plant the one in the north that impacts Julie. I would probably only plant one tree in the front then, not the one.
So you didn't want to replace it with something else?
No, probably not.
I mean, I
just
think
that one
that
tree.
there,
And that's gonna be Pacific Madrone, not
there certainly are, trees that are 10 to 15 feet high as opposed to, the 80-foot high cypress, they're.
Yeah, no, the cypress is.
Mhm.
Window.
Or
I
even
don't
the
know how
Madrone
tall.
I'm looking is comes, I looked while you were talking, goes to like 30 meters, Madrone.
Yeah, well, you can cut, have an hour's cut it, so it doesn't go that tall.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to go that
I'm just
tall.
saying, there are also trees like a Meyer lemon that might be 8 feet tall, or a manzanita that might be 15 feet tall.
And that's Anita,
Um,
but I don't know, yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna say
If you
consider
are
another
looking
to northwest cedar.
And I think that
Tree.
the, front end.
It's already in
awning
the landscape.
being rather than-
Suggestion.
I would like to see that front awning being wood, although I don't think we're writing on that announcement. We will be
Yeah,
writing.
we have
continue
to.
to start.
All right,
Yeah, I
I
think
think
we
the
did.
bright
That's fine.
awning being wood and then maybe
front
not
overhang,
the front overhang.
over,
But when I change it to
Trim.
black, maybe-
It might-
maybe
it
it's
might
not
change,
anymore, yeah.
But I do think
Yeah,
that,
that
for me, having the stained wood trims and that stained wood awning, that sort of introduces that secondary
To match.
material that I like.
to match window.
Yeah,
trims.
the window trims, and then, personally, my feeling is that if the siding and the roofing are either sort of identically,
Siding,
cement
roofing, and
gray,
fence.
or if, and front fence, because there was talk about maybe the 3 other sides being wood, which I
Uh-huh.
also think would be great.
Uh-huh.
If those are the same color, or if those are sort of 1 or 2 tones apart from each other, but in the same color spectrum, I think that works, and I'm certainly comfortable with those being LRV in the 80 to 90 range, even though we also, obviously, if there's a building department requirement for a certain SRO, they're gonna have to meet that, and if that's a lot darker than we're thinking, that could change your thinking with those tones, but for me, it would be enough to just say, LRV 80.
Can I go black?
You can go black.
Yeah, if you
If
wanna,
you wanna go much darker,
I don't think I'd go black, but if you had spec charcoal gray or deep green, that goes sort of, that could work in different tones.
It was very dark before.
yeah.
That could work, that's what I'm.
The goal of that is to, like, for the standard talks about the collections, so just kind of speaking back to the template.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's sort of hard because
It's a little less stark for the neighborhood
yeah.
and, it
And
addresses.
then there's a reflection, it addresses the reflectivity issue.
Yeah,
I
and
mean-
it's still a cohesive project.
I wanted to use natural colors. I don't want to paint the house. There are a lot of people there that paint out in previous colors.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of like, if I want to save time, I'm forced to paint this house, which I don't want to do.
Yeah.
If it doesn't age nicely, it
Yeah,
will age more nicely to keep it natural, but
yeah, I mean, going back to that image of cedar, I mean, I think the natural cedar color is beautiful.
But you
It's
switched off
potential.
of wood because of the firehouse.
Right, and so I think a natural color cement can definitely be a great choice.
Okay, we have a lot of findings that are in your favor for compliance. We're addressing the colors, if you change the materials, because you have to achieve color, we'll talk about that when you do. But it's all being driven by this roof color. And we're going,
After the letter include, to define the pool as in the project, in or out, your choice, but not potential.
no,
Yeah, define the pool as in the project, and just to remove reference to anything that's potential or tentative or.
It will be 5
Or
foot
most, yeah.
setback to the west of the
Yeah.
pool, which is drawn differently right now. We can't-
Okay.
can't get it done.
Okay, so you'll do a little cleanup.
Yeah,
The drainage issues, we'll refer you to staff and, as a suggestion, and a recommendation, and the other recommendation is to consider an alternative to the northwest cedar tree. Do you feel like we've covered?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's what we're having to do.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
one
like it's
consideration
smart.
with,
Yeah.
with continuance
Yes.
is that, as you heard earlier, Beverly, this is for, she's coming back, sort of, this is off, thinking that's coming back to this
I'll
one,
be
so
here in
I'm not
December.
sure. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
are you good?
I'll be here in December, and that's my last meeting, I'm retiring.
But we'll go on.
So you'll go on and you'll have another person, and Rebecca will be the continuity if for some reason you don't make it in December, but I encourage you to make it.
so the next meeting is, what, you said Friday, but.
Second,
No,
Friday is the deadline.
middle, I know,
So they can do their process to get you into December's.
Next Friday is the deadline. huh?
It's the deadline.
Yeah, if your materials are in by next Friday, then you can be put on the agenda. Because they have to
December 14th.
publish the agenda, like they have, put in a newspaper.
Yeah, a lot of
old-fashioned.
logistics.
Yeah,
Makes
but the hearings are always the second Thursday of the month, so it'll be whatever that is.
December.
There we go, December 14th,
December 14th.
and then the next one after that will be the second Thursday. I mean, you only have this one thing. We frequently see projects come back. It's hard for projects to make it back
It's
the next
so
month, but they
unfortunate.
usually have a lot more
It's really
to
an
review.
excellent piece.
Yeah.
I hope you can.
So I don't want to think that it's the way.
Could you confirm one more time that it's like in the 80s or 90s, that's fine? I think you meant-
No, it's not, no.
Well,
figured-
so we
We
need,
have
so
to consult to find out what the requirement is. If they're driving lower than that, then you might want to.
But how fast are you figuring that out?
Yeah.
I'll get your answer fully by Monday next week. I just send out
Yeah.
messages to our building department to get some interpretation on the building code and energy code. And also I will double check with Camille on Monday at the latest to verify we're giving you the right.
Deadline Friday, but next year, earlier possible.
yeah,
Yeah, I will try that. I'll hopefully get that to you tomorrow if possible, just depends on their schedule and stuff, but I will definitely try to get your answer by Monday.
Thank you.
Is tomorrow a
Appreciate
holiday
it.
for you?
Huh?
Is it-
No.
So you understand that sometimes the radar, when things get on the radar, these roofs are on the radar.
Yeah.
And they're
No,
looking at them now.
Appreciate your work very much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a motion.
Okay, I make a motion, request, the applicant has requested for a continuance. I, make a motion to put that on the record. And, we will hopefully see you next time.
Now, Mark, before you go, so just for information, so since we have like another month, so if you would like to make like add any additional information, like for example, like tree removal, or if you making this up. If you'd like to add any additional scope to the project, add into the plan so we can document that, just for information. If you don't, then that's fine.
Yeah, he has a small list of things that need edits.
Yeah, like additional.
Look at a copy of your.
I'll be writing it up tomorrow. It'll be in his hands by Monday.
Great.
Yeah.
And you want to send us a copy, right?
Yeah, I'll send you a copy as well as the link to the recording. So,
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
that's good. And does someone need to want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Can I make one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I'll be real brief here, but I don't know if it's a requirement, but I would strongly suggest that for items to be brought to the committee, I think that through your colors materials, check it off, just so that we can have a more fruitful discussion about this.
Yeah, so you would have known that the roof was unacceptable. That would be good input, I think, for you as a member of planning and the planning project manager.
Yeah.
So that could have stopped before it got here.
No, we would want to do like 10 days or so before the meeting, so otherwise we could have. done something about it.
Yeah, and I'm making that as a recommendation.
Yeah, so
so
saves
yeah.
the applicant some.
Like many other information.
Yeah, we'll get a number and, yeah, so we'll pass the information along to other planners, so that's all new to me. So, yeah, so I will, kind of
Yeah,
do my training.
Good.
Yeah, so everyone's on the same page and in the future, we can kind of give people like the specific SRI or RV number before they come to you. Okay, and, does someone wants to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Thank you.
Thank you
for
so
your-
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah, we didn't want to stay.
And is there a
Very
second?
expensive to stay, so.
Yeah, second.
Thanks.
That's part of it.
Oh, no, that's perfect,
Roll call.
completely
Yeah.
conceptual, got it. It's nice to see the little more, yeah.
Getting it all one.
Yeah.
And bye.
Thank you.
I'll just do a roll call before we turn the.
Okay,
Rebecca Peckton,
here,
Barry Garrity,
yes.
Mark Lee.
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank
Well,
you.
What were you saying? You prefer all.
Oh, no, I just the model being all white.
Yeah.
And then he's using the word.
Yeah.
I know, he didn't help himself, Samantha.
Well, I'm really glad you guys